Good evening, everyone. I am Dr. Shambhavi Samir Alve. I am a developmental psychologist and also the founder of Uurja Manifest the Light Within, a holistic healing studio. Before I begin with the session, let me first thank Indian Medical Association and Medical Students Network Tamil Nadu. Thank you so much for having me today for this session. And we are going to talk about mental health and wellness. I'm sure mental wellness and mental health, emotional health, all of this has been the talk of the town right now, thanks to the pandemic. Although we as mental health professionals have always been talking about this, but I think the pandemic and the virus just made our task a little easy. On a serious note, I think this entire pandemic situation has hit us all in some way or the other, and it has been more on a collectivistic level, like as a culture, as a group, we all have been affected by this. But I'm sure even at individual level, we all have been having some or the other issues. We struggle, we have our own battles, and they are generally pertaining to, say, academic stress, relationship issues, what the future holds, career, finances, etc, etc. So there are a lot of these issues which affect us on day-to-day life, and these are more of our personal or individual battles that we are fighting. So today's session, we are going to focus on this, and as well I'm going to share with you a couple of techniques which you can use at at a personal level. You can use it for your own personal, individual hygiene, emotional hygiene level. That is what you can do with them. Right. So to begin with, I generally get my clients telling me about how emotions have been a problem. Like, I get a lot of anger, I feel angry, I feel anxious. And these are the issues that they come to us with, to resolve these issues. What I generally share with them, and I'm going to share it with you all as well, is that it is not really the emotion that is a problem for us, but it is the thought which propels this emotion that becomes a problem. So each and every emotion, say anger, say anxiety, fear, all of this is very, very important, is very crucial for our overall wellness. For instance, if I have to give you an example here, say right now, if this room just catches fire and I am not feeling scared, or if I'm not experiencing fear, will it be helpful for me? No, it won't. And that is where the importance of an emotion comes into place. I have to experience fear. I have to experience that emotion to start working on that situation. And that is how each and every emotion, each and every feeling has its important place in our lives. Then that brings me to the second question, that is, if emotions are so important, then why it becomes a problem. Now, when it becomes, why, I'll answer the question in two ways. One, when it becomes a problem. Now, say the same example, this room catching fire and me experiencing fear, it is a very normal response. It is in fact a response which we expect. Now, say even a month later, even years later from now, I experience the same emotion without this stimulus being there. That is when there is a problem. So, experiencing emotion in absence of the stimulus is when it becomes a problem for us. And that is how that is what we need to look forward to deal with. So now, how does this affect in our day-to-day life, especially when it comes to relationships? So say in the past, probably I had a very heated argument with my friend or my partner, or maybe even a family member, and that incident has just happened and it is over. However, even after months, or say even 5 years down the line, still every time, whenever I think about that incident, I experience all of those emotions with the same rush as if it is happening in the given moment. Now, what is happening here? Is that situation happening? Is that stimulus there? Is it present? No, it is not there. It is completely absent. Then what is it that I'm feeling it right now? It is the thoughts. So now the thoughts, which are generally not from the present, but these thoughts are either from your past or they are pertaining to your future. This is what really propels the emotion that we experience in the given moment. So emotion in itself is not what we really have to work on, but it is the thought that we need to work on, right? So having understood that, the entire logic of how your thoughts and how your emotions work together, and when we say we are experiencing a distressing state right now, I'm feeling stressed out, I'm feeling too anxious, I'm angry, all of these emotions are taking charge of me. That is where we need to realize it is not the emotion, but it is a thought which is kind of pushing it ahead. So with all this, what do we do? I mean, that is the important part here now, because all of this, I'm sure to some extent we all know. But what is very, very important here is how do we really work on this, work on these thoughts, so that we have a better control of that situation and we have a control over our thoughts. Because end of the day, all these issues, say it related to your relationships, to your career, or even anything in general, all these issues are inevitable. We have no control at all on these, but what we have control over is how we feel in that situation. And if we want to take our control back, it is very, very important that we start working on our thoughts. So to give you the first technique here, it's a technique from mindfulness practices that we do. It is a technique called as RAIN. RAIN, RAIN. It is an abbreviation. So in this abbreviation of RAIN, R stands for recognize. That is, when you are under, say, a distressing moment where you're feeling absolutely overwhelmed with all the emotions, just take a minute, take a pause, and recognize what are you feeling, what are you experiencing right now. Just connect with yourself. It could be the emotion, it could be a thought, or it could even be a bodily sensation. So what we need to do is recognize what I'm feeling. The best way to go about it is when you can name the emotion that you're experiencing there. So if I'm feeling right now, say I'm feeling restless, I'm going to take a pause, I'm going to connect back with myself and see what is this thought, what is this emotion, what can I name it as? Can I name it as anger? So yeah, probably I'm feeling angry right now. Or say I am perhaps feeling jealous right now, or I'm feeling anxious about what is going to happen tomorrow. So the best way to recognize is to start naming it. What are you feeling? That is the first thing. The second thing that you do here is, in the abbreviation RAIN, the second alphabet is A. Now, A stands for allow. Allow means to acknowledge, to accept what is happening. Now, again, by allow, I do not mean to say you are supposed to like what is happening. So you're not expected to like what the situation is or how it is happening. But by allowing, by acknowledging, it is just to say that let it be the way it is. And when you do this, you get better clarity into your own inner space. Why? Because we all have an unconscious, a push to move away from a distressing emotion. So if there is an emotional state which doesn't make us feel very comfortable, we have this unconscious desire to just move away from it. But when you step into this second step of allowing yourself, of acknowledging what is happening, it just brings you a little more closer to your own emotions. It helps you connect with it and understand what is it and where is it coming from. So the first one is in the abbreviation RAIN. R stands for recognize. The second one stands for allow. Then the third one stands for The I, it stands for investigate. So once you have recognized what you're feeling, the second one is allowing yourself to accept it, acknowledge it. The third comes in is investigate. Investigate as in you're going to see where is this thought coming from, where is this emotion coming from. So for example, right now if I start feeling stressed out, or say I'm feeling something which is not very comfortable, I'm going to think about what just happened. Was there any trigger? Was it a song which just triggered this thought? Or what am I thinking right now? So the best way to do it is questioning yourself. What am I thinking right now? What just happened which triggered this event? Or what just made me feel this way, if it is a discomforting feeling? How is it helping me to think in the same way? Is it helping me step out from the situation, or is it not helping me? So these are the questions that we ask ourselves in this abbreviation RAIN in the I section, that is about investigating. Also, a very effective tool which comes in here when we talk about investigating is about journaling. I'm sure there would be a lot of us who are already indulged in this activity of writing, of journaling, penning down every thought that comes to your mind. It is in fact a very, very good activity to do. Again, by journaling, we do not mean that we are going to write songs, essays, or love letters. No, nothing of that. So when you talk about journaling, it is a very, very a defined activity. When we talk about journaling, it is about writing down, penning down any floating thought which comes in that given moment. So right now when I sit down, anything and everything that starts surfacing up, I'm going to pen it down on a paper. The best way to do it is, one, fix up a time of a day. So say every day 7 p.m. I'm going to sit and write. So that should be a routine. It should be more of a ritual that you start doing every day. So today 7 p.m., every day 7 p.m. I'm going to sit down and write. Also, it is advisable to have a journal for yourself in which you're only doing this activity. If you feel that, no, I'm a little apprehensive about, writing, what if someone just reads it someday, I don't want to share my, all these thoughts and feelings with someone, then there's no problem. It is okay to not maintain a diary. In that case, you could just be using some rough pages in the house. You could write down everything that you want to, just crumble it up and throw it out in the dustbin. That helps as well. So the entire intention, the entire, the rationale behind doing or indulging in this activity is basically to put down all the thoughts which are going on here, and they are creating all the ruckus there. We want to just get it out. So that's the entire the reason why we do this. Also, a best way to go with this activity is to time it. As in, you could put a stopwatch on, you could have an alarm for yourself, so that you are going to write it where the entire activity has to be more therapeutic. As in, if it is timed for 20 minutes, say, then the moment the buzzer goes off, you're going to stop the activity. Why we do this, or why I advise doing this, is because if you do not time it, you will just go on doing it, and then it becomes more of a ruminating activity. Like you are every day just going back to all the memories and thinking and doing a lot of things. So by the end of the activity, it might just leave you feeling more drained. And that is how we time it. So something, in between of 15 to 20 minutes is a very good thing to do. So time this activity of journaling, and yes, it is absolutely therapeutic. As simple or as silly it might sound at times, but it is a very, very important and a very effective tool to use. So journaling can be a part of this I in your RAIN abbreviation, where we talk about investigating where is all this coming up from, where is this baggage coming from. And the last one in this abbreviation RAIN is the N. Now N stands for non-identification. What does it mean? It is about separating yourself from the problem. That means if I'm feeling, say, overwhelmed right now, I'm going to step out from that emotion. I'm going to step out from that feeling so that I can view it from a third person's point of view. So it is about, dissociating kind of from it. When you do that, it helps you to understand that you are different from the problem. You are separate from the issue, you're separate from the emotion or the discomfort that it is causing, and it becomes very, very useful to not just look at the problem, but also to come up with more rational ways to deal with that problem. So the entire abbreviation, the RAIN, where R stands for recognize, A stands for allowing, I stands for investigating, and then we have the N, which stands for non-identification. This in itself is a very, very important a mindfulness technique which helps tremendously. This activity is something which you could be using on a day-to-day life basis, and this is more to maintain your emotional hygiene. So I definitely do not advise that if you are undergoing a lot of stress, or there is something which is bothering to the extent where your daily life activities cannot be fulfilled, in that case please go ahead and see a professional mental health, a practitioner. That would be more advisable. But these techniques that I'm sharing with you today are more to do with how you can maintain your mental hygiene on a day-to-day basis. Like something like, we take bath, we brush every morning, so that is like maintaining our physical hygiene. In a similar way, the activities that I'm sharing with you right now has to do more with how you maintain your emotional hygiene, right? So the first technique that I just told you is RAIN, RAIN. Then comes another mindfulness technique which we call as a grounding technique. It is called as 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, it's a grounding technique, and I suggest and I advise people to follow this technique, especially when they are they are in grip of lot of anxiety. Because when you are generally very, very anxious, you tend to just float around, your thoughts start float around everywhere, and things start seeming you are just not in control of anything right now. That is where this technique really helps very, very beautifully, and we call it as a grounding technique. So what does this grounding technique do? It brings back your attention, it kind of anchors you back to your body. And how do we do this? We do this by using our senses. Okay, so in this exercise of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, the 5, we start with the 5 things that you can see. So you're going to use your eyes. 5 things that you see in your immediate environment. It could be the door, it could be a chair, it could be a water bottle. 5 things you have to pick up. Now it is not just about picking up these 5 things that you see, but you will also be paying attention to minute details of these things. So for instance, if I see a door, I'm going to look at it like, oh, what's the color of this door? What could be the dimensions of the door? Is there any dust on this door? How old is it? What is the material? So I'm now going into the details of this door. Similarly, all the 4, the rest of the 4, that also I have to go into the details of this. That is the 5. Now the second comes is the 4 things that you can touch. Okay, so touching mean it could be say a tablecloth, it could be a curtain, it could be a leaf of a plant, it could be a glass, a textured glass. So we are trying to touch and feel the texture, the material, how does it feel, and all the minute details of those things. So again, now you're getting into the details, but this time you're using touch. And how many things? 4 things that you have to touch. The next thing that comes up is 3. So the 3 things that you can hear as in the sound, say in your background. It could be a sound that you could hear from maybe a next door, someone playing some music, or it could be a utensil falling down somewhere, someone honking. So you have to pay attention to 3 sounds that you can hear in that given moment, and again you will be paying attention to the details. Then comes 2. 2 is about smell. So what are the 2 things that you can smell in that given moment? It could be someone cooking in the kitchen. It could also be say a smell of a page from a book, or probably someone just farted around you. So it could be any smell. Okay, basically you have to pick up on 2 smells that you are experiencing in that given moment. And the last one, that is 1, is about the taste, where you are going to get in touch with the taste you are feeling, you're experiencing in that given moment on your tongue. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The 5 is for your eyes, so what all you can see, 5 things. 4 that you can touch, 4 things that you can touch, 3 that you can hear, 2 you can smell, and 1 is about the tongue. What can you feel on your tongue right now? This 5 4 3 2 1 is again a very, very effective mindfulness activity, and it is very useful, especially when you are feeling anxious, because this just helps you to bring back all your attention back to your body. So it kind of anchors your attention, which is kind of floating around when you're completely in the state of anxiety or you're experiencing fear. So it becomes a very useful tool. After this, I think I'll talk about anger, because after anxiety, there is something, if there's something which bothers us a lot, it is anger, right? I get a lot of these clients talking about anger. I can't get over anger. Okay, so with anger, we generally, if we come across someone who is experiencing anger, what we generally tell them is, just forget it. You have to control anger. So I always tell people, please do not control anger, because if you are not going to vent out anger out, you are going to keep it within yourself, and anger is a very, very strong emotion. And when I talk about a strong emotion, it carries immense power to cause any destruction. So when you're putting it out, of course you can spoil your relationships with the person to whom you're expressing it out, but when you're keeping it within you, you're also going to cause lot of issues within yourself, in your body. And that is where it becomes very important to just vent it out, put it out, whatever you're feeling, especially when it comes to anger. So with anger, here is a very effective technique. It is also age-old technique. There would be a lot of people who tell you about doing this. It is called reverse counting. Okay, I'm sure most of us must have heard about this, but here's a catch to it. Generally, people say you should start counting from 10 to 0, and it should be helpful, but then they come up and tell me that no, it never helped me, and that is how it is. It will actually not help you. Reverse counting should be done in a way where that activity becomes a little taxing for your cognitions. It should be difficult for your thought processing. If it is a very easy activity, it will not really serve the purpose. The purpose is to really snap out of that moment. That is how we do this reverse counting. So the best way to do here is to count back from, say, 100 to 1. So it could be 100, 99, 98, 97, in that way. Now, if you're someone who has mastered the skill of reverse counting from 100 to 0, like me, because I think I have been doing this right from my childhood, so I can just go on with it. In that case, make sure that you are turning this activity a little more challenging for yourself. How do you do that? So if it is 100, 99, 98, 97 is something very easy, in that case, make it 100, 98, 96, 94, or say make it 97, 94. So you have to make the task a little challenging to yourself. The goal or the aim is not to master the activity of reverse counting, but it is about creating those challenges. And if you think even skipping 1 or 2 numbers is also very simple for me, in that case, please do it in alphabets. So you could be doing the reverse alphabets, okay, Z to A. So why do we do this? Because it has been found that any strong emotion, especially anger, it takes only 90 seconds, that is 1.5 minutes, for us to come out of that that entire physiological excitation that we are a part of, or rather what we experience when we are under the grip of anger. So when I'm angry, I feel it. I just don't feel it emotionally, but I feel it even physically. My hands will start perspiring, I might go all red, my heart starts pumping more blood. So it is actually an emotion which you feel physically. And that is how when you do this reverse counting exercise, it kind of snaps you from that situation, gives you those 90 seconds to cool down. And once you cool down, even you will realize what you would have otherwise said to that person when you were at the peak of anger. Now it will be very, very different. You will probably speak more rationally, to the point, not making any references to something that happened like 10 years ago and all. Nothing of that will come up. So it becomes a very important tool. Also, what you can do is, while you're doing this reverse counting, you could be using a stress ball, Even if you don't have a stress ball, you could just use something like this, a towel, a small little hand towel, and squeeze it with your non-dominant hand. So for instance, now I'm a right-handed person. I write with my right hand and I primarily use this hand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my left hand for this activity. So while I'm doing the reverse counting, I'm simultaneously going to just squeeze on something, a ball, or probably a towel like this, right? This is how we do it. And if you're able to just stay away for 90 seconds and break that chain, you will do much better when you actually put across in words what you're feeling, how you're feeling, and how this other person could have said it in a different way. This is a point which is very important, because I think most of us, when we are under the influence of anger, we just go on blabbling so many things and we end up spoiling the relationship, and maybe a day later we just repent, oh, I shouldn't have said this. So that is where this small little things will play a very important role and can actually help you save these important relationships that we have in our life, right? So these are three techniques that I have shared with you today, which I hope you will practice. And these, again, let me repeat this again, these are techniques for your day-to-day life. These are pretty simple, and this helps you to maintain your emotional hygiene. This definitely doesn't mean that if you are having say a chronic emotional issue that you are suffering from, no, this is not something meant for that. In that case, you will have to go seek professional help. But on a day-to-day life, where we do come across things like coming across people where we have arguments, we have anxieties, that is where you could be using these tips and the techniques that I shared with you. Incorporate it in your daily life just the way you do with your physical health. You clean your body in the same way. Make sure you're cleaning your mind as well. And how do you clean your mind? You do it when you're cleaning your thoughts. That's a very important. All right, on that note, I am going to close the session for today. If there's anything more that you want to know from me, you can definitely get in touch with me through my Instagram handle. And again, it was a great session that I personally felt. I really loved being here, interacting with you all. And thank you for all those thumbs up there. Thank you so much. All right, bye-bye.